The number 4 guy on my ranking is Chet Holmgren. Now, Chet Holmgren has a lot of people really talking a lot about him. He's a very interesting prospect, 7-footer. A lot of people doubt his thinness. And I don't really ever think he's going to become really a big body. You know what I mean? A guy that's really a bigger guy. But what I really think he's going to be able to do is be a better version of KP. KP is a slim guy. KP is a really good three-point shooter. This guy shoots the light out of the basketball. Shoots the lights off the basketball. You let him shoot wide open, he's gonna knock it down. He might be the best wide open shooter in the draft, or he's gotta be up there in top 5. So pick and pop situations and spacing wise is going to be really good. You have some teams. There's some teams in the draft that have guards, and I could really see them wanting him because of spacing, because he's going to be valuable to winning basketball because of that. He's a good shot blocker at the rim, 7-footer. He has good timing. You know what I mean? He's. I don't think he's going to be overly switchable, but he's not going to be like Marc Gasol, where it's like an extreme disadvantage. You know what I mean? He's going to be an average center switching. But he's going to be a pretty solid shot blocking center. He's not going to be really special at it. I don't think he's as special as some people want to say, because I just haven't seen a guy be really special without ridiculous athletic traits, because this guy doesn't have ridiculous athletic traits. You know what I mean? Or ridiculous size, and he doesn't have ridiculous size. His size is a negative. You know what I mean? When people put their shoulder into him and, make him finish around him, he can't really do much. So that could be a negative. So he's going to be able to pick and pop at a high level. He's going to be pick and roll guy at a high level. He's going to be a really solid fit for that. And his shooting is a weapon. You can run him. You can set up a screen for him, and he can get a wide open look. His shooting really is a weapon. And he flashes some mid-range shot creation for himself. It's not overly done, but he flashes it. And he flashes the ability to handle the basketball and, finish around the rim and, those type of things. I'm not in love with it as much as everybody else, because when I watch him play against 6'8", 6'9" guys, you watch him play against actual competition that wasn't getting really played much against the WAC. He doesn't really look like he's athletic enough to shot create for himself. And that's my real downfall, because, athleticism is just something you can't teach, right? I don't care how well you dribble the basketball. You just can't become more athletic. So people get into him. He can't do much. But what I really think his potential is becoming a mid-post guy. I really think that if he just went to the mid-post and shot some fadeaways, he could become a high-tier all-star. But you just don't see him do that much in college. You could find maybe one clip. He situationally wise, you have to understand his situation in college was the best player in his team college-wise was Drew Timme. And he's a center, right? Or center or power forward. He drew all the attention. You know what I mean? That was what people had to stop. And, he got the face really easy looks. Like, if you watch him play and watch his highlights, 6'7", 6'5", 6'6", 6'8" guys you see a lot of. And that's just not something that's going to be the NBA. We got the freakiest players and people in the world here to play NBA basketball. So I think that's going to be a little bit of a shock to a system. But I think, you can't teach size as well. And his size and his shooting ability will always keep him to be available to be a really great player. I mean, I think he can be anywhere from Lauri Markkanen to a much better version of KP, where KP's a little bit too tall for how good he could be. If he was smaller, 7 foot, and better shot blocker, he would be really, solid two-way guy. You know what I mean? Like, KP, that's his best comparison. And I think that because of all those reasons, he's the forced pick, because he can be an all-star. I really think he can be. I just don't see the superstar potential like everybody else is seeing, because just because a guy can handle the basketball doesn't mean anything if he can't create his own shot. I'm really worried about that, because he's just not athletically gifted like Kevin Durant, or like highly gifted. Like, Kevin Durant is one of the greatest ball handlers you ever ever at that height. He's the greatest. Actually, he's the greatest ball handler ever at the height, and he can shot create for himself because he can get open at any point in time. Just because Chet has a handle doesn't mean it's amazing. Like, look at Bam. Bam has a handle, but doesn't mean he's the next coming of center god. You know what I mean? So it's an interesting guy. I've heard some people say some stupid stuff like, "Oh, yeah, he's just the next coming of Giannis." I mean, dear goodness, what? People throw out terrible comparisons. Terrible comparisons. Oh my god. So yeah, this guy. Also, I didn't really like his interviews. I like to listen to these guys talk, and I like to listen to the way they talk about basketball. And he just didn't sound assertive, like he was the guy. You know what I mean? In interviews. You know what I mean? The best interview I heard was Jabari Smith Jr. because his coach is like, he's the greatest worker I've ever seen. And I'm like, enough, sold. That's it. That's all I need to hear. The greatest worker a head coach has ever seen at his program. He's probably been coaching for 25, 30 years and have all those athletic gifts. Thank you. Yes, please. And that's kind of like the way he plays, Chet. He's a little unassuming. A little too unassuming for my taste. He just doesn't put his imprint in the game like I have to get buckets. He's like a good team player, which is fine. But, when we're talking about the top three guys, the top three guys are special. And I think there's a gap here between the top three and Chet.
Wow. That's going to be pretty controversial what you said right there, too. Because a lot of guys, like, Chet... okay, so... The reason why Jason does this real quick, because Jason, he understands and really likes college basketball. I'm more of an NBA guy, so that's where I put all my focus at. So, but when I do, watch college basketball, I look for big names, that's like, I'm not, so the first name that I heard ever, when I started even looking into college basketball was Chet Holmgren.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know Jabari Smith Jr., Jaden Ivey. The first name heard was Chet Holmgren. So I'm thinking, oh, he's just this amazing player. And then to watch him during the March Madness and like, what? And then even it's going to be just very controversial. Considering how much of a pedestal he's already been put on.
Yeah.